taking the weight loss jab Mounjaro are going to feel the pinch due to the new price rises.
Yeah, but with the price for the highest dose set to more than double, how can you best deal with the hike?
Well, Dr. Nighat is here to answer some of your questions alongside Sarah Le Brocq, who has lost an incredible 7 stone, but is now facing a whopping £220 a month increase. Sarah, that is a huge increase.
Yeah, a huge increase.
Yeah,
not sustainable.
You've known it's been coming, but did you expect it to be quite that much?
No, well, we didn't know it was coming until about 2 weeks ago. So it was literally this whole thing has happened very quickly. So no, I'd actually joined a programme where it was a fixed price for 12 months of the medication that I'd been on. And so for me, I was thinking, well, till January, I know how much I'm going to be paying. Regardless, yeah, of what dose I was on. So for me, this is suddenly going, well, I really need to think about what I do now, because the price on the programme is now going up to over, yeah, like say £220 more than I'm paying. And that is, you know, a lot of money to suddenly find when, you know, you've got other things, other commitments financially.
Well, you also budget for everything as well. It just throws everything up in the air.
Yeah.
Nighat, why are these price hikes happening?
It's a threefold answer to that. One is because Eli Lilly, which are the only producers of Mounjaro, they're saying we've got to bring this into the global market and also price match with what's happening in the US, and so the European market, we've got to change that as well. Demand as well, there's that is bigger demand, and we just know how this is life-changing for individuals, and people need it for their health. These are anti-obesity medications. They're not just for vanity. They're really important for their health and long-term health as well. And finally, because tariffs globally are going up as well. So that from the US, those tariffs are affecting the global markets.
And we know that the Mounjaro actually suspended sales last week, is that right?
Yes, they did, and that was really to sort of taper out what's already out there, because these medications have a shelf life. They're kept in fridges as well, and then also when they bring in the new medication, when it comes to pricing and stocking, then that price, the new tariff or the new implications could come in with the price range that they've got.
Sarah, we met you last year and you're back on the medication now. Why have you decided to go back on the medication?
So I've been on the medication for about 2 years.
Yeah.
I had to stop for a short while because I had to have my gallbladder removed. So I had a bit of a situation there. And then I started again in January on Mounjaro. So initially I started on Wegovy, semaglutide, and then I moved across to Mounjaro just purely because it was a different medication and it's got 2 hormones in it rather than 1. And I just thought, let's see kind of what that does, you know, to help me with kind of improving my health, etc. So it was more around that. But now I'm actually considering going back to Wegovy because of the price situation, because they're offering the Wegovy at the price that I'm paying currently for Mounjaro, so it kind of makes sense.
We can see that picture, Sarah, of just how remarkable your transformation has been. 7 stone, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
And clearly there's physical changes, but how has it changed the medication? How has it changed your life mentally and in other aspects as well?
It's just given me a lot more energy and freedom, I would say, because I've got a 6-year-old daughter. And so, like, this summer, I've been, like, paddleboarding with her and kayaking and just being so much more active than I would have been before. So for me, it's like that's what this was for. It was around improving my health and kind of improving my life, not about the aesthetic. I mean, obviously, the aesthetic comes with it. And I do look and think, OK, I can see a difference and that's a positive thing. But that wasn't why I wanted to do it. So I think for me, it was definitely this freedom, because I always felt like I lived this life of restriction. When you're living in a larger body, you are so restricted with things that you can do, and now I feel like I've just got that freedom, which is great.
You mentioned before just about maybe swapping and going on Wegovy.
Yeah.
What are the differences, Nighat?
The differences are, as Sarah already said, is the actual medication. I also just need to caveat the fact that the price hikes aren't happening for the NHS patients. So all the positive things that Sarah have said, I actually see this in my NHS clinics with my patients who meet our criteria. This is really for the private sector that the prices are changing. And so from Wegovy, which is semaglutide, it sort of tickles your GLP-1 receptors, whereas Mounjaro will tickle your GIP receptors, so that's your glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide and your GLP-1. And so what happens is they work slightly differently, but at the moment, Wegovy is something that's licensed for weight loss, whereas Mounjaro has been so far a license that Eli Lilly got for a type 2 diabetics medication, so medication for diabetes, but off license. We were realising, because it has that dual action, The side effects, although we were talking about this, Sarah was saying that she's never noticed a difference between Wegovy and Mounjaro, but the side effects in a really big trial showed that they varied ever so slightly, and actually there was a more of a positive side sort of reaction in regards to the severity of the side effects when it came to Mounjaro. So you got milder side effects, and it was better tolerated.
So what Sarah's considering then is going back to Wegovy and trying that. Louise has asked that question as well. We've got some questions from our viewers. She's considering switching the weight loss jabs to try and negate the price. Can she stick to the same dose?
I think what you have to do is be really carefully led because, like I said, they work slightly differently on the receptors and the risk profile ever so slightly changes for every individual. So the guidelines are that we're being given in primary care and pharmacists as well is that you start at a lower dose even when you're switching, because we need to make sure that you're OK with that before we gradually get you up. We can't, because, like I said, they tickle your receptors ever so differently, and so we don't know what side effects you're going to have. Once you've given yourself, say, the same dose of Mounjaro to Wegovy, and they don't exactly work out the same dose, then you have to ride out those side effects. There's no way we can take that medication out of you, and you've got to ride it out for 7 days.
And that could be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, that could be GI side effects, so nausea, vomiting. It could be anxiety. It could be headaches. It could be that you're having profuse diarrhea. We can't take that medication out for you. There's no sort of antidote, if that makes sense.
Don't you just love the way she says tickle your receptors? She's very naughty when she says...
like a massage.
Yeah, she's very naughty when she says
That's actually what it does.
I get it. Emma asked, what is microdosing and is it safe? Is that a good way of going about this?
Do you know what? OK, I'm so glad you made the same noise because this is something that I think has almost started as a zeitgeist moment on social media, but it's coming through my doors in my NHS practice because some patients are doing this. And it's not actually based on any studies at all. Microdosing basically is when you are taking a small amount, not the recommended dose. So it could be that you're not taking the full amount. So on this, what we would say is wind it up to where it comes to stop and then give yourself the full amount. And then that's it. What people are doing is giving them ever such a slightly amount. That could be for a couple of reasons. One is that you've lost the weight that you wanted to lose. Now you're on the maintenance. And so this is an idea to get you off the medication while you're trying to work out your diet, your exercise. Because remember, this is just only going to be working on the hormone. The other stuff, so that you don't put rebound weight on, has to still happen. So that's where microdosing is happening. Also, we're seeing this mostly, I would say, in the aesthetic market, so in the private sector, where I've got a wedding to go to, or I'm going to go to a big buffet meal, and actually I'll just microdose myself a little bit. And the data behind that, we don't know the safety, we don't know the long-term risk, we don't know what it does when it sort of works on the GLP-1 receptors or the, GIP receptors if you're using Mounjaro. So it's a bit of a world unknown, but dare I say it, I know that people are doing it, but actually it's not recommended. It could be dangerous, and you must never do that without...
No, because there isn't any data to support it, and so I'm very much driven by science, and so I just wouldn't risk it.
Keep instructed as it was. This is what Mounjaro, the Eli Lilly, who manufacture Mounjaro, have said. We are working with private providers to maintain affordability and expect these to be passed on to patients. We also want to work in partnership with government to expand NHS access for eligible patients. And Wegovy have said, their manufacturers, Novo Nordisk, patient safety always comes first. With us, semaglutides is backed by extensive clinical research. We always recommend that patients use medications according to their approved indications and under the guidance of a healthcare professional. If anyone experiences any side effects, it's important to let their healthcare provider know. There is that concern, Sarah, isn't there? If people suddenly can't afford the medication they were on, they might go to alternative sources, which isn't necessarily the most trustworthy.
That is my biggest concern, and I've had lots of people reaching out to me directly who are on the medication kind of going, Sarah, what am I going to do? Like, this is just changing my life and now I can't afford it. What do I do? And I think it is going to, create that black market situation, which is concerning, which is why I hope the NHS will improve access quicker than they have been, because then people can then access it, hopefully through the NHS. But I mean, we can't stop that from happening. But hopefully if we encourage people remind them that this is a prescription-only medicine, because I think we forget that it is, and say, look, please make sure your healthcare professional is guiding you through this, because it's not a case of you just deciding. Like, please get that advice and support is what I would say.
Very wise words.
Undoubtedly, and hopefully you can find a solution that works for you as well, Sarah. Thank you for coming and seeing us again.
Nice to see you, ladies.
Right then, after the break, we're going to be meeting a young lady, a 20-year-old.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.